when I came in, I was completely novice, didn't really know anything about business. And to be honest, I didn't really know what I was getting into. The first couple of months, I made 5K. Next month, 10K, 20K. Literally, I think the highest I made was 225K cash collected for the company. I think I made roughly about 18K in 1 month. Like, that's the most amount of money I've made in my life ever. It was the first time I actually started to make real money in my life. When I earned that 18K, I didn't get paid until March. My name is I'm from Ireland. I've been in the high ticket space for roughly about a year and a half, and this is my story.
Today, we're going to be hearing the story of a sales rep who was due more than $20,000 in commissions. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is I'm from Ireland. I've been in the high ticket space for roughly about a year and a half, and this is my story. So when I came in, I was completely novice, didn't really know anything about business, and to be honest, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I saw all my friends, they were basically successful online doing business, and I wanted to know more. So I realized it was sales, and I decided to get my feet wet. But I didn't really know too much about business, about commissions, about payouts. I was completely novice, so everything was just basically first experience at the end of the day. So then I was there looking around, and then I got the right opportunity through my network. Through he's basically a friend of mine, and he basically brought me into the ecosystem. He got me familiar with sales, and once I got onto that opportunity, it was the first time I actually started to make real money in my life, and truly, it was like transformative. The first couple of months, I made 5K. Next month, 10K, 20K. Literally, I think the highest I made was 225K cash collected for the company, and I was on 8%. I think I made roughly about 18K in 1 month. Like, that's the most amount of money I've made in my life ever.
Yeah.
So it was completely incredible. Like, I've never felt such emotion before. And yeah, I remember the first time that happened when I earned that 18K. I didn't get paid until March, and I just didn't say anything because I was essentially scared to ask for the
So,
money that I earned.
just so that we can clarify, do you mean like you earned this amount you closed $250,000 in revenue in February, right? And when were you due to get paid, or was this in January?
So I was due to get paid on the 10th of the following month. So if I made X amount in January, I would get paid on the 10th of February.
Okay, so you collected 225 this amount in January,
Yeah.
and you were meant to get paid on the 10th of February. Okay.
Yeah, so once that happened, it was now all of a sudden we're in March and I still have not received payment. As at the time, I was continuously growing the company, still making the most amount of cash for the company. I still haven't been paid. And I remember even my parents, she was kind of concerned, why are you working for free? Where's the money? Yes, you're making this from, but why is it not in your account? And I couldn't explain it to her. I couldn't tell her that I'm going to receive the money. So there was a bit of uncertainty, to be honest. And that prevented me from actually selling even more because I knew on that offer I could close even more deals. But because it didn't land in my account, that sense of like unfulfillment that the work I'm doing isn't actually coming to fruition, because that isn't actually landing in my account, there was a lot of uncertainty. So I actually couldn't move forward. I couldn't actually commit 110% into it. And anybody in sales knows if you don't commit 110% into something, you're not going to get like the maximum results. That's just the bottom line um, at the end of the day. So that sense of doubt did prevent me, and I did not get paid until March. Then
Okay.
the next month, you have a question?
So when you got paid in March, how did that feel? When that money actually did land into your account, it was almost like a delayed. It's like, was it? It almost like you had to sort of delay the person that you would actually become in January by 2 months because it took you 2 months to actually get the money of that person, right?
Exactly that. Exactly that. Well, to be honest, when I got the money, I could have start smiling. I remember for like a week, probably even 2 weeks, I was just gonna start smiling. Genuinely, because I just kept looking at my account, being like, "Oh my god, I have this amount of money. I
Before
could
you were a
literally buy
sales
a
rep,
car."
what were you doing actually?
Before I was in university, I was studying architecture.
Okay.
Um, didn't enjoy it. I literally just picked the first thing on the course selection. I just like, let me just do architecture, and I just didn't enjoy it. So I was like, I want to do something else. I want to find a solution. That's why I done
Cool.
sales.
Cool. So then tell us then. So how did February go? So obviously you did 225 cash collected in January, 18K. You didn't get it for a month, but you did get it in the end, right? Though it was delayed. Now February, what was February like?
February was a bit less than January. I made a total of 15K in commissions. And I remember I didn't get paid for that until April, like late April. So that's roughly about 60 to like 75-day sprints where I didn't get paid. And that just, I felt really, really bad because now it's been January, February, and no sense of payment has been made. So I didn't really know where to go from there. I thought about maybe moving from something else. I thought about different directions. I just thought I'd ask people for help as to why I'm not getting paid. And I was working under a marketer, and he would have his team below. I was in that team, so I would ask other people in that team if like, what's the issue? Why are we not getting paid? And they also didn't have an explanation. So it was a thing where I didn't really know. I don't know if this was like a usual thing to happen in sales because I'm quite new to sales, or if this is basically a really, really like bad company to work with. So there was a lot of uncertainty because this is the first like pain I've been in business. I didn't really know how this ultimately worked. So that's I think February was a huge struggle because there's a lot of uncertainty.
And I'm curious, what kept you staying in? Like, obviously, you said that the company you weren't sure, like, if, like, obviously, was this how it just worked? What was it? Was it because maybe the company, the amount of revenue they were doing? Was it like, the social media? Like, if you can give me an insight, without naming names of like, what gave you that feeling? Were they like a verified business? Were they like a celebrity? Why did you actually feel like, okay, this is not bad? Because I think to anybody listening to this, they would think, well, if you didn't get paid, you stopped working immediately, right?
Yeah, there was two things I truly like believed in, and also believed in him. I done a lot of research on him. I did a lot of research in the company, and I thought what we were doing was good work. I generally felt there was good fulfillment. There were like people felt good with what we did, so that's why I was passionate about it. And the second thing was I just like taking sales calls. I just like taking them. Like asking people about their like personal life, understanding where they're at, and then providing them with a solution, and then basically pushing them, encouraging them to ultimately strive for their dreams. I just
Okay.
I just find sales calls empowering. And I think looking back, I should have probably should have did less volume because I was doing a lot. I just did a lot for the just for the sake of doing it, to be honest.
Yeah. Cool.
Because I
No, because
realized I was learning. And I
yeah,
was
I mean,
like,
it's kind of hard to obviously say it was your first time, and like, it's not actually you to blame because you were in the situation of just doing your work. I guess it sounds like you were just doing your work, and it sounds like for you, you were just like, I'm going to focus on doing what I'm doing. You trusted people above you as well. Now, in terms of this, client and the team that you were working on, in terms of like this, the magnitude of what they were doing, how big really were they? Like in terms of like, were they a big YouTube? Was it paid ads? Was it organic? Instagram, TikTok? What was that like?
so it was Instagram, it was a LinkedIn, and also we had a webinar funnel. So a lot of people, whenever they watch the webinar, they were ultimately convinced by him. They seen him as a mentor.
Mm.
So it made it a lot easier to sell. Um, but yeah, it was mainly through social media, and we were basically pushing ads on social media, and then basically pushing them to the webinar. And then
Okay.
from the webinar, I would basically do as much outreach as possible, from cold calling, setting people up, and basically try and close as many people as possible that attend the webinar. And that
Okay.
was typically the approach.
And how many would you say? What was the range, without giving it away to me? What was the range of maybe this account's followers, or like how big they were, just so that we can understand the magnitude, or what to expect when if this is going to happen for another sales rep.
Yeah, yeah. The business owner had 400K Instagram followers. Yeah, you would
Wow.
think, yeah, you think he gives them credibility, but I think it's
Okay.
400K on Instagram, 10K on YouTube. LinkedIn was roughly around 10K as well. So
Okay. So this was a pretty strong personal brand. You weren't working for some underground influencer or something. This was somebody that was probably trusted by 400,000 people, right? Okay.
100%.
Interesting. So we're moving into February. You've been paid in April, right? Talk to me about what happens after that. March, April, do you leave the company? Do you stay? Sort of what were your next steps or what happened after that?
Yeah, so I'll move forward because March was kind of similar to the couple months previously, but April and May is what really told the story because April I made 15K, and then in May I did roughly around 12K.
Hmm.
So I realized that there was a decrease in ads, and I sensed there was a sense because we were working with two teams essentially.
Hmm.
So there was the business owner, and then we were basically the partnership. And slowly but surely, the business owner was trying to separate from us, even though we were the ones bringing in the cash, making sure that their business was ultimately like scaling at the end of the day. So then April is really the telling month in particular because we did cash collected, we did pretty good numbers, 250K again, and then we were like, you know what, the next following month we didn't get paid over the next 30 days. The next, so it's now 60 days, and we're unsure, we're trying to understand what the like what's happening here. We need to inform them before previously that if he doesn't pay us in time, like on the 10th of the following month, if he doesn't do it in time, we're going to just leave. We've
Hmm.
informed him, he's aware of what we said, like the non-negotiables, and he simply didn't have respect for us and what we were doing for him. So now it's May, he still hasn't paid us, and from that point we're all detached. We're all like, you know what, we don't want to work with this guy. Clearly doesn't have respect for us.
Hmm.
Clearly doesn't have respect for what we're doing for his company. And then generally what we were doing was the only good thing about his business, the sales aspect. The fulfillment aspect, the actual systems aspect was horrendous. So the team actually taking his business to that next level was benefiting his life, but he just didn't know at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Um, so May was a big struggle, and we all decided to just leave because simply he didn't have respect for us, and if he didn't pay, we're not going to work for him. And now we're almost a year later, and we still haven't been paid. So
Whoa. A year, and you have when you say you haven't been paid, you haven't been paid for 1 month, is it, or 2 months? And if you don't mind me asking, obviously, if this is sensitive, like, what's that total amount that technically is still outstanding?
yeah, so it would be 25K in total commissions that he's owed me personally, but then to the team, I'm pretty sure he owes 60K altogether.
How did that feel?
Yeah, kind of line up the greatest. Um, it was tough, I'll be honest, for me to move on
Mm.
because I didn't know if that was just what the online space was like. I didn't know if that was just like that's just the game, and I had to just move forward with and just accept that there's going to be people like that. Um, so it was tough for me to move on personally, but then I realized at the end of the day, um, you essentially have to move on. Like it's business, even though as much as it sucks and as much as it hurt me, and it kind of helped, it kind of made me struggle to move forward in business and in sales.
Mm.
I realized I just have to move on and just accept reality, um, even though it kind of sucks.
Mm. So pretty much in that situation, it sounds like you were helpless. There wasn't much you could do. Did you not have like a contract, an agreement? What were those things that you thought maybe could have helped you? Like, agreements, contracts, lawyers, things like that.
Yeah, so we were working with a marketer. He's pretty big in the space, so he is like a really good team of lawyers, etc. And even he couldn't, and he explained to me the situation because the business owner moved the money to a separate like country or a separate bank account, so we
Mm.
couldn't access the funds. So it kind of puts us into a position where we can't do anything about it really. Even
Mm.
with his super team, there was nothing that he could do. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you being open and honest and frank, really, because that shouldn't happen. Like, you put everything, it sounds like, into this company. You were one of the good things about this, and to be honest, that company and all the people in there and all their students and that program, you were the face of the company essentially, but you were the last person taken care of. And like, I'm almost curious, like, if you could go back in time, or if you could rewind in the future, how do you think commissions in that world should work? Like, what do you think if you could script an ideal world, right? There's no rules, there's no how this is how it usually works. How do you think it should work in terms of like the way you get paid?
yeah. I think the monthly aspect where I get paid on the following month is something that I'm like I have to accept. But in an ideal world, I'd like to pay weekly. That's just me
Okay.
being transparent. Um, Also, following whatever the rules are that we follow it to a T. Because when we come into a company, we know what the non-negotiables are because we're representing your brand.
Mm.
So we also want to have non-negotiables as well. As well. So if you say you're going to pay us on the 10th, you pay us on the 10th. If you say you're going to pay us on the first, you pay us on the first because you're taking care of your team. Your team, like essentially needs to be taken care of in order for them to put them all into your company and scale your brand. So I think in the ideal world, having those two things would hugely benefit sales reps or just people who work commission roles overall.
Okay, so being paid weekly, and then obviously following the rules, and I guess following the rules really comes down to trust, and that's going to be a big thing for the people that you work for. Do you think there's any way that you can guarantee that trust, or you could vet that? What do you think would be the way forward? Do you think maybe just vetting the people you work for, or do you always think that like this side of the world is always going to have an aspect in terms of being a commission-only sales rep of just you have to almost trust something that you don't know and take that risk?
For me, anyway, I do believe in energy. I feel like I've been in the space for a while, so I can tell people who are honest, people who are kind of have some shady like things about them. So I feel I trust myself, I trust my gut. If I feel I want to move forward with the company, if I feel what they're delivering is a powerful offer, a powerful message, I will trust my gut and back my decisions. But yeah, I think knowing the people you want to work with. What I always do is I write down a sheet of the people I want to work with, why I want to work with them. So then I can basically just personalize my outreach. I can make sure that I'm doing all I can because I trust them. If I don't trust them, I just want to be around it. I don't think it's something I want to be part of.
Okay, so trust is a big thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, I really appreciate you for being open and honest here. I really appreciate you for telling that story, and I think for sales reps out there, I've been a sales rep myself. That's originally obviously where I came in through as well. And I know exactly the experience that you're talking about, right? I've been there, I've seen it, and there is an element of vetting, but then there's also an element of like things just surprise you, and it's almost hard to know, especially when you're just a sales rep, you're just a small cog in the system. It's hard for you to judge, right? And listen, I hope that this story helps other people be able to see and view and take more decisions on how they should do. And like, I hope this story also will help inspire us here at the team at PayDai and what we're building to protect these guys more, sales guys more, and how we can protect that. And like, I think there's many different ways that we can think about that. And I think business owners as well, this is a huge thing to watch out for because these are your soldiers. This is your front line. So imagine being the commander and you leave your soldiers on the line, you're betraying your own team, right? It's almost like, treacherous, right? You're basically breaking that trust within your own company. And that's tough, and I think every business owner should know how like sales reps, and I know this as a sales rep and from training sales reps, they give their all to a company because you have to be able to sell well and to be a good sales rep, you have to give your everything. You have to care deeply and passionately, almost as much as you do as a business owner, right? So listen, I understand where you're coming from as well. I appreciate you, and let's hope that the future is different. Let's hope that your example was the last that had to happen, and let's hope that there is a brighter future for the future sales guys, the future people who come from university and come into this world, because as you can see, the opportunity is there, right? In an ideal world, like that 15, 18,000, you're getting that paid every month, and everything was perfect. You would have had nothing else other than celebrations to talk about, right? And it's just sad that this one thing, getting paid, spoiled what was, to be honest, an amazing story and a life-changing experience a couple of months for you. So let's see what we can do, and thank you so much for your story.
100%. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.